Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time and coming to our presentation today. My name is Maximilian Riede and this is my colleague Irene Welebil. We both work at a research and consulting company in Innsbruck, Austria. It's called ALP-S, and the organization ALP-S focuses on climate change adaptation and risk management. Now, today we would like to use this platform here to present one of our latest products called Mind Your Risk. As you can see, Mind Your Risk is an interactive risk reduction game which we developed on our own. Now, before I go into more detail about the game itself and before we even play a quick test round with you, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the background of the game. We are proud to announce that all 279 municipalities of the province of the Tyrol, the province where we come from, joined the campaign, the UN ISDR campaign, Making Cities Resilient, in January 2011. Now, the province of the Tyrol, the ALP-S Center, and the city of Lienz became active role models for community-based risk assessment, management, and reduction. But to give you a little bit more insight into how we see disaster risk reduction and into our community-based approach to this, I would like to show you the underlying principle of our projects. Both in research and consulting, risk management projects in our center begin with a community risk workshop. These risk workshops deal as a platform to activate the local community representatives and make them share their knowledge, their existing knowledge about the risks in their community, and then put this into a list of risks, record those risks, bring them into a correct order, and afterwards evaluate them in a risk matrix. Now, this risk matrix then deals as the basis for a risk map. In this fourth step with the risk map, we give the local people the possibility, the chance to see where the risks are located in their community. Now, these 4 steps are all supported with our own risk management software tool, Ortis. Ortis has been developed over many years and is especially used in this field. Now, to not confuse you, we're focusing on research and consulting, but what we are going to present today, this interactive risk reduction game, Mind Your Risk, is just one of the products that evolved over the years of many projects in research and consulting in the area of risk management. Now, this game is not only targeting people like you, experts in risk reduction. It also targets people who are interested in this area and who might not be as skilled as you. And it can also be used for students in secondary and even higher education. Now, to show you how we see disaster risk reduction and to show you the background of this game and to prove that people in the Alps don't only think of avalanches, I'd like to show you the field game. Now, as you can see, we have 3 different risk areas in this game. The first one is natural hazards. The second one is social risks. And the third risk area is technological risks. So you see that we apply a multi-risk perspective, and we interpret the full risk management cycle by dividing every risk area in 3 phases. The first phase, let me switch to that screen, is called risk analysis and measure setting. The second phase is the actual event. And the third phase is lessons learned, everything that happens after the event. Now, let's get a little bit closer to the game. It's really simple. You start with your game man, put it on one of the risk areas on the first phase, and you take 1 card of a pile of 3 and turn it around, and you'll get a question. First, you'll have a short introduction into what into the area, into the risk area. In this case, it would be a technological risk. It would be drinking water supply outage. You have a short text, short introduction, and then the question. And if you turn it around, you'll see the answer. Now, if the answer is correct, you'll get 2 points, and you can make 2 steps up. Now, you come to the next phase, that's the actual event, and in this event, you of course get another question that deals with an actual event. It's the same risk area, it's the same part, but it's another part of the process. You'll get an introduction, you'll get a question, and here's the answer. If you are correct, you can make 2 steps ahead. But if you're not correct, you're stuck in this event, and you have to stay there until the next round and until you get a wild card. In a wild card, you also have another question, but you can only get 1 point, and your game mates can steal the points from you. So that makes it a little bit more tricky for you. Now, in the third phase, lessons learned, the event took place, and you're asked to think what you could do, what you have to do after the actual event took place. After the question, you'll turn around the card and you see the answers. And of course, let's assume you're right because you're so skilled in this area. You move 2 steps ahead and you finish this whole risk area. Now you could finish the game here, but you could also continue because the goal of the game is to complete all of the 3 risk areas and not only look at one area, but go through all of them. And the winner of the game is the one who is back at the checkpoint and who is the first. Okay. Of course, now you might think we developed a game because it's fun playing a game and because after skiing in the Alps they always play games, but that's not the case. There are, of course, big advantages to a gaming approach. And this game should be a tool to trigger discussions about risk reduction. It should be something that initiates interaction between practitioners. It should raise awareness and share knowledge. Of course, we want to boost capacities with a game like that. Now we would like to activate you a little bit, and we hope that you participate and help us with our global premiere round. We would start with a social risk, and my colleague is going to let one of the many volunteers here in the audience read out one question loud, and then we would like to ask the rest of the audience to help him or her in answering the question.
Who wants to answer the first question?
Any volunteers here? Oh, so many. I can't decide. Ah.
Okay.
Could you please read it out loud?
This one, is it? Yeah. The Sahel was affected by several hunger crises with catastrophic consequences. It is your task as a risk manager to advise and prepare the region for the next food crisis. However, you first have to identify the underlying drivers of the hunger crisis in the Sahel. Find at least 4 drivers of hunger catastrophes.
Now, could you name 4 drivers of hunger catastrophes? For example, in the Sahel, or could anybody help her at least coming up with 1 driver for a hunger catastrophe?
Drought.
Drought. Anything else? Okay, here's
Flooding.
flooding. Okay, I'd like to shorten this a little bit because there are many more drivers, of course, and the reason for this game, the reason why we developed this game is not to be concrete and to find those 3 particular reasons. It's to trigger discussions, as we said, and it's about activating knowledge and talking about this topic. Now we have another technological risks, and now we are in step 2, the actual event. Could anybody volunteer and read out the second card? Oh, again, so many. Oh, in the back? Thank you.
I was just smiling, but okay, I can read it. This one. The drinking water supply of 2 cities has been contaminated with germs by unknown persons. Unfortunately, this risk isn't controllable by either engineering or organizational measures. One of the cities is situated in Central Europe, the other's in the Middle East. How would you evaluate the probability of occurrence and the impact of a bigger terrorist attack on the drinking water supply of those 2 cities? Use the risk matrix on the game board.
Thank you. Do you want to say something?
Yes, please. Can you use the risk matrix? How would you evaluate the probability of occurrence and the impact of a bigger terrorist attack in those 2 cities? Okay, maybe we help you a little bit. This is the risk matrix we're using, and CE in this case stands for Central Europe and ME for Middle East. So in this case, it's of course a very subjective risk matrix, and it should show you that people might think that Middle East the impact in Middle East could be higher than in Central Europe. Same applies for the probability. Now, we're coming to the last question, and in this case, we have, of course, an avalanche. Could anybody volunteer and just quickly read out this question? Thank you. It's a natural hazard. Yeah.
Yeah, despite of construction measures being in place, an avalanche event could not be prevented and the road had to be blocked. Which of the following measures could have improved the avalanche situation? An avalanche transceiver, inspection of technical protection measures, for example fences, afforestation, evacuation of the buildings in the town center, avalanche blasting, foot protection structure, avalanche retention dams, avalanche probe, avalanche dog.
Now the avalanche took place, but what could you have done to prevent the avalanche? It occurred outside the city center. What could you have done to prevent it?
Afforestation and
Afforestation?
avalanche blasting as well, avalanche retention dams, and inspection of the technical protection measures.
That is very correct. As you can see here, there are 3 measures which take place in the aftermath of an avalanche, which will not be very helpful here. Evacuation of the town center won't help you as well, and flood protection structure neither. So this shows that there are many different measures, but only a few of them were really helpful in this case. Now there are wildcards, as I told you as well. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to talk about the wildcards, but luckily we're at the Education and Community Space for the whole conference, and today we're also at the Making Cities Resilient booth in the back of you, and for the next 2 hours you'll get the chance to play this game with us or talk about other projects with us right here in the back of the IGNITE stage. And if you don't have time today, you can also come to the Education and Community Space on Wednesday or on Thursday or even today later on. Thank you very much for your participation and attention.